From the podcast studio of WTAP Plus comes your source for sports, WTAP Sports Frenzy, with host Griffin Albright.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to WTAP Sports Frenzy. It is our second episode, and we have yet another very special guest here with us today. We'll waste no time with introductions. You probably recognize him from doing the weather on the weekends. There he is, Mr. Thomas Chase. Thomas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I know I've been sitting in your chair sometimes each morning for weather, doing those social media hits, but it's nice to finally be in this guest seat. So thanks for having me.
It must feel good to not even have to talk about weather this
time.
It
is.
Right?
I know.
Switch it up and just talk ball.
You know, if I wasn't doing weather, I'd be doing something in sports. So this means a lot to me.
Absolutely.
So it's good.
Yeah, I'm glad to get to live out that dream today. And for those of you who don't know, Thomas, big-time college sports fan, big-time college hoops fan. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We got a lot of college basketball this weekend. So just coming up, we got a lot of games around the MOV that people are probably interested. West Virginia, Ohio State, Marshall, everybody in action. So just what are you guys looking at? Some big games for this weekend. What do you maybe got your eyes on?
Well, I'm certainly excited for the Mountaineers game. I mean, they're going to be taking on a Baylor team that is usually one of the better teams in the Big 12, but this year they are struggling. So it's a game that they need to win. They've got 14 wins this year. I believe they're 14-6 is the record, maybe 14-7. 14-7, and couple more losses there, and you're starting to be really nervous on Selection Sunday, and that's been kind of a common theme here the last couple years for the Mountaineers. So we don't want to be nervous on a Sunday in March.
We want to be in for sure.
Yeah,
this
we want
year.
to be confident that we're going to be in.
If we learned anything from last year, it's
no
be in
UNC
for sure.
board members making decisions and putting in their school over the Mountaineers.
Yeah.
So they got to take care of business this week, and they got to get their main man going, Honor Huff. I mean, he's been dynamite all year. Exactly,
Electric
a shot maker,
watch, yes.
human microwave, I like to call him. The guy can get hot from anywhere, hotter than fish grease. So I just think that he gets going. You got to get some of the other guys going too. Eagle staff has been picking it up a little bit as conference play has started. On the defensive end, it's been my man, the big guy, Harlan Obioha, and Belo, Brennan
Great
Lorian.
name.
Those two guys have been cleaning up the boards. DJ Thomas has given them great minutes off the bench. And Jackson Fields has been getting in there too a little bit. So I'm excited to see this game on Saturday. I think this is a pivotal game for the Mountaineers. If they lose this one, then I'm starting to question this team the rest of the season and their March Madness hopes. They win this one, I think this could be the momentum and the positive surge they need to make that run and kind of stake their claim for that bid.
Right. And if we learn anything from last year, like you said, you got to be in. You don't want to be on the bubble and leave it up to the committee to put you in. But also we talk about those, quad 1, quad 2 wins, maybe quad 2, quad 3 and beyond. Losses are just as important. So obviously important to take care of business against the Baylor team. Thomas, let's go to you.
Yeah, so WVU, of course, I believe they're around 60-ish range for the net. I don't think a single at-large bid has gotten in below around 48, I think, below. So they're really on the bad side of the bubble. They didn't have that signature non-conference win. They lost to Wake Forest here in Charleston. That could have been one. They lost in overtime against Ohio State. That would have been a great signature non-con win.
Yep, Clemson was a bad one too.
Yeah, so, if you keep on going to conference play, if you lose this game, I don't want to say it's season ending, but it's kind of looking that way. You need this win to, I guess, feel good about your season.
Start catapult yourself into that stretch run of the few last conference games and the conference tournament and getting those signature wins.
I think if you end up around 20 wins, you're feeling good about yourself. Hopefully you can beat one of the top 4 in the Big 12, maybe like I don't want to say BYU or like in the Arizona.
They've played a couple of those teams already. They went on the road to Arizona last
was a
week.
tough one.
It was not a pretty one.
No.
They've played Iowa State and went on the road this year. They've had some of those bigger teams. They've had those chances, but it's been a lot of road matchups.
Yeah.
They do get the big win against
really
Kansas.
good teams.
You get a good Kansas win earlier in the year, but Kansas hasn't been the same team that we've seen. So, they have
They are up to number 14 now, I believe.
So, it makes that win because Peterson is back
that
now.
Is their signature win
and he
right
played
now,
in that game, so that's something the committee can't take away from them because, he's been in and out of the lineup
and
for
the
Kansas
committee does
this year.
show that if you have an injured player and that you're out, they do count that. So maybe their season is turning on the right way. So.
WVU still certainly some work to do in that Big 12. Let's shift gears a little bit here. Let's go. How about we go to the Sun Belt? We got Marshall. They've been struggling recently. They get Arkansas State this weekend. What do we think about Marshall? What are thoughts on their team, and maybe what do they need to do to get themselves in the right position, make a run maybe at the Sun Belt?
I mean, it's a one-bid league. You have to win these games. You have to win every game, honestly. Yeah. Andrew, you got anything?
The Thundering Herd have been an interesting team this year. I've seen them play a few times. I've watched some of their games just because, now being a part of the sports department, helping out a little bit. Yeah. It's a team I want to be familiar with because it's a team we cover. And
for sure,
they have some great players, individual players.
They really do.
And it just they confuse me. I know we've talked about this off,
I could not agree with you more on
It's
that.
a team that
they baffle me as
they
well.
look great one night when they're at home, when they're at the Henderson Center, and then they go on the road and they look completely lost. They look like a team that I've just not seen.
Did they lose to OU? When they played?
They did.
They did
I was
lose
at that
to
game. Yeah,
they did lose
lost
to OU earlier this year, and that was a game
loss.
I was a little bit shocked. I know they went on the road, but that's one of those things. They went on the road and they looked like a different team.
Yeah.
They had looked very strong in the beginning of the season, and even in the beginning of Sun Belt play, they've looked very strong and picked up some wins, but it's just college basketball. Going on the road a lot of the times, the atmosphere, the environment.
It's fluky a lot.
Yeah, it's tough to win those games. Winning games on the road that's how you separate the good and great teams. Those teams that win on the road and get those wins. That's why they're in the tournament comfortably, and they've got the ranking next to their name right now.
Yeah.
So for Marshall, I think against an Arkansas State team that's been pretty solid this year. They didn't start off the year that great, but conference play they've turned it around a bit, and they're one of the better teams in the Sun Belt this year. So it's going to be a good matchup of two good teams. Look for Wyatt Fricks to hopefully have a big night. I mean, he's a big name for Marshall down there. And you've got I can't remember the big guy's name. I know you know his name. You love that guy.
Matt Van Komen.
Yeah, you love
from
Matt
Utah.
Van Komen as well. So I was going to say he needs to have a big game on the boards for them as well. And I just think that I don't know if they win this game because Arkansas State, like I said, has been trending in the right direction after a rougher start to the beginning of the year.
Marshall has not been,
Exactly, and Marshall's kind of been trending the wrong way, it seems like, recently, but you never know. Sun Belt play, they've got a lot of great teams in there. It's a competitive league, and it's another Saturday. You never know.
True, and I want to touch on, you talked about the confusingness of this team. Just going back a few games ago, Marshall played Louisiana Monroe at home. Now it's Louisiana Monroe. They're like 2-17, but they made a school record 26 threes. They approached the all-time game record, single game record. I think 28 was the record.
They got close had 115 points or something in the game.
Yeah, 115
in regulation.
Yes.
Yeah, all in regulation. So they do that. Then they come out against Texas State. They were winning. They were up double digits in the second half, and they were looking really good, poised to easily win that game, and they just let it slip away again. They've done that a few times this year.
Right.
And just talking about this team, it's a constant theme with this Marshall Thundering Herd team. And on paper, man, I love this team.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around why they struggle so much. Jalen Spear, great senior guard. He averages over 5 assists a game. He can score it as well. Noah Ochudy, great scorer of the basketball as well. He's a really good player. Matt Van Komen, 7'4".
And then you've got Fricks too, who can play great defense.
Fricks is 6'10". He's a 15 points a game guy.
Machine.
Yeah, it's just on paper, this team looks like they should be really, really good and maybe even a contender to win the Sun Belt, but they just can't seem to put it together. They struggled down the stretch a lot, so I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but listening to Coach Jackson, especially in the press conferences, he always seems confused as well. He's just like, man, sometimes he just doesn't know what happened. So I don't know. I'm very confused. I think they should be good, a lot better than they should be, but or right now, but maybe going forward they can get it figured out. But yeah, like you guys said, I agree with you guys. We'll see. They've got to do some work in the Sun Belt as well.
Absolutely.
To get back into that. All right, now shifting gears one more time. Let's go to the MAC.
Yeah.
We got some action this weekend. I love the MAC. And
is Miami for real?
Yes. Yeah, let's get into that a little bit. How about that? Miami in the top 25.
Yep.
One of only 2 undefeateds in D1 right now, them in Arizona. And so, Miami there in the top 25. The Battle of the Bricks coming up in a few weeks, I believe. Ohio's playing Miami of Ohio. They get Buffalo this weekend. But, we can get into the MAC a little bit to talk about that. What are you guys' thoughts on the MAC and Ohio specifically?
Well, for me, with OU, it comes down to they brought back a good chunk of the kids that, had consistent minutes last year. Their scorers with Jackson Pavletsky, AJ Sheldon, Aiden Hadaway, and they've just fallen flat on their face, I feel like, this year. They just have not. MAC play, they've looked a little bit better. Yeah. I will say they've competed better, but I was confused by this team in non-conference play. They started 1-6 or something.
Yeah, it was a bad start, really bad start.
So it just confuses me. They've turned it around a bit in MAC play. Buffalo, is this a home game or away game?
Yeah, it's at Buffalo.
It's at Buffalo. Buffalo's been a pretty good team in.
Yeah. Buffalo took Miami to overtime.
Yeah, they took Miami to overtime. Miami's been, going to overtime with a few teams recently because I feel like that number, that undefeated record's probably getting to their head a little bit. So maybe they're playing. I don't want to say down to competition, but they've been dominating most of the year, and recently, they've been struggling to get across the line, but they've still found ways to win, so kudos and shout out to Miami, Ohio for that. But I think OU is going to have to put in some work this weekend on the road at Buffalo because Buffalo's got a good team. They've got a couple players, one name specifically, Daniel Freytag, who averages about 20 points a game for them.
Great
and
player.
He missed a couple games, in the last 2 weeks, but he came back recently against Bowling Green, and they picked up a road win at Bowling Green. So that tells me that the Buffalo Bulls are back to who they are, and it's one of the better teams in the MAC. So OU's going to have to come out and be aggressive, play some great defense, and make sure to crash the boards, because it's a team that hasn't rebounded amazing this year.
No.
And if they don't rebound the ball well, then it's hard to have success and actually go the other way and score points to keep up with a Buffalo team that can put some points up.
Right, yeah, you talk about that rebounding. It is the MAC, but still Ohio a little bit undersized. I think A.J. Hadaway is our biggest player at 6'8".
Yeah, I called him Aiden Hadaway. Sorry, A.J. Hadaway.
Yeah, it starts with an A. Close enough. Javen Simmons is, I believe Toledo transfer. He's, decent size too, 6'6" or 6'7". But it is a team like Pavletsky can really fill it up. It's a team that can score a lot, but like you said, undersized. So that it really, emphasis on the box out, being physical. But yeah, with this Buffalo would be a big win. They need to get some big conference wins. They're 11-11 right now. But yeah, they need to get some big wins to get back in the MAC. But yeah, let's talk about Miami of Ohio. Kind of a revelation. Rarely do you ever see a mid-major team crack the top 25. They're, I believe, 21-0 right now. So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. What you guys seen? Are they for real?
I'm skeptical.
I thought you might be.
They're non-conference. They play 3 below Division I teams at least, so that's 3 wins there.
Yeah.
They didn't play a Power 4. I know their head coach came out recently and was like, "Well, no one scheduled us," but still, they haven't really been tested.
No.
They went to close to overtime with UMass last night.
You're
Once
right.
again,
Yeah.
Buffalo went to overtime. I think they've been getting really, really lucky here the past couple weeks. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I feel like they are the definition of. I think back to, what was it, 2023 or 2024 with Oakland and Jack Kolke.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think honestly that could be what they look like if they do make it to March.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a nice ceiling.
So my question for you guys then is too, if let's say this team goes undefeated and doesn't lose until the conference championship game of their tournament, they end up going undefeated in MAC play. Does the MAC become a 2-bid league?
No.
We don't see that.
You don't think so?
You don't
No.
think at
I
30
think-
at let's say they're like 32-1.
I think back to a couple years ago when Indiana State was 35-2 and they lost their championship game and they didn't get in.
Okay.
They were the 1 seed in the NIT.
That would be wild.
That leads me to saying no. I
Interesting,
think
yeah.
it's just, I think even though they didn't schedule that Power 4 game, their schedule is just, strength of schedule is not that
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're talking about that. We talked about the quad 1 wins, quad 2 wins, and that was a big factor last year in terms of arguments for West Virginia and Indiana getting in versus North Carolina being out. But yeah, really, Miami, Ohio hasn't really beaten anybody. You talk about in that top tier, that quad 1, and you talked about UMass was close. They went to overtime with Buffalo recently. They only beat Kent State by 6. They had a close game as well earlier on in the month. Yeah,
Hey,
Akron.
wins
They
are
played
wins,
Akron
but
close.
still,
Yeah.
I think they're getting
True.
a little lucky.
And I will say Kent State and Akron are probably number 2 and 3 in
Yeah.
the MAC. They're the next 2 best teams. So
Right.
they have beaten those teams. And
No, that's
I believe with Kent State, maybe it
Quality
wasn't an
wins.
overtime game, but they were down most of that game and ended up coming back late in that game and beating
Right.
them. And they've been doing it on their home court, it seems like, too. So they've gotten the grace of being home for most of those, but I'd like to see them be in those situations on the road and see if they get the same results as well.
absolutely, yeah. And, just talk about the grand scheme of things. It's all those wins are great. They're obviously first in the MAC. They've done everything they're supposed to. They've
Right,
won every
yeah.
game on the schedule. You can't really knock them for that.
Yeah, you can only beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, but if you're comparing them to somebody else who's on the bubble,
it's just hard.
It's tough.
As a
Yeah,
major,
it's like
hard.
apples to oranges sometimes. They've beaten everybody they played. It's really tough to knock them for not losing a game, but it's also like they haven't played the same competition as an ACC team or an SEC team has played. So that'll be interesting to see come tournament time if that situation does come into play. I'll be very curious to see what the committee does that time or this coming time. All right, well, let's go one more matchup this weekend. We've got Ohio State, Wisconsin.
Should be a good one.
Another big game, right? Yeah, Big Ten game here. Ohio State, let's see if this is the right one here. Ohio State at 14-6 on the year. They've had a pretty good year. They played some good games. I watched them go to overtime with North Carolina. They played really well. They've looked good. They've looked like a top 25 team at times. Definitely not there yet, but just maybe what do you guys see from this Buckeyes team? What's their ceiling?
I think their resume is better than they actually are. because I think back to they played Michigan close for the first 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
they kind of got wide at the end. They almost beat UNC. That would have been a top 25 win.
Yep.
You beat WVU by 1 point in overtime. WVU's borderline.
Yeah, WVU kind of choked that game too.
Yeah. So I mean, they've shown their moments. I don't know if they are really able to compete though in the Big Ten, especially going into the tournament with Michigan. I think about Indiana just beat Purdue. So I think the Big Ten has a lot of depth. I think Ohio State is part of it, but I don't know if they're that top tier quality of the Big Ten.
I think the thing for them is to, like you mentioned, they've had a couple close games. One they win in WVU, which WVU probably choked away.
I forgot Ohio State also lost to Pitt, and Pitt's now 9-12.
Yeah, I want to say they lose to Pitt.
That's a rough one. Yeah.
They have some interesting wins, losses on their resume, but the beauty about the Big Ten, and it's the same thing usually with the SEC and the Big 12, the ACC. Usually most years, recently it hasn't been as much, but like Thomas said, a lot of depth in the conference. So that means there's a lot of quality wins out there for potential. And this is a quad one opportunity against Wisconsin on the road this weekend. This is one that if they win this game, I think their resume, you said maybe their resume is a little better than who they actually are. I think it'll look even better than who they actually are probably at that point. Getting a win on the road at Wisconsin, who's another great team in the Big Ten, I just think would be a monumental win for their resume when you come and have that talk in March when they're probably on the bubble still.
I think their brand honestly pulls their weight there. I think their brand will get them in.
Yeah, that's something we kind of saw with North Carolina last year. That's what people talked about was their brand name. Committee probably wants to get the brand names in the tournament. You talk about viewership getting up, so maybe that is something that helps them out come tournament time. All right, well, let's go real quick. We'll run down these games. Let's go predictions for this weekend. We'll go West Virginia, Baylor, Marshall, Arkansas State, Ohio, Buffalo, and Ohio State, Wisconsin, the 4 games we talked about. We can start with either one of you two, but
I'll let Thomas go first. He's our guest. So
let's go. I think WVU pulls out a nice 10-point win over the G League Baylor Bears.
The semi-pro Baylor Bears.
Yeah, great to see them at 1-7 in Big 12 play. So I think they get the nice win there.
They're about to bring Jackie Moon off the bench next.
What was Woody Harrelson's character's name? Ed Monix?
Yes.
Ed Monix will come coach. Okay, so I like that. I like WVU over Baylor as well.
I do too.
I'm assuming you're in the same boat
I
there.
Okay, Thomas, about a 10-point win, maybe 7-10. I'll say.
Sure.
WVU,
at home, I think.
At home they get the job done. I want to say Ross Hodge, defensive coach. One thing I noticed about him at North Texas, which has seemed to carry over to West Virginia, is the defense.
Yeah,
he loves the defensive side of the ball, and he's a mastermind. He knows how to stop and shut down other teams and keep you to a low scoring amount like we saw against Kansas State. If you can't get to 60 against WVU, you're not going to win.
No.
If they score 60 over 60 points WVU, that's a win for them usually most times.
9 times out of 10.
I want to say they don't really allow teams to get more over 70. They've allowed maybe Arizona and Iowa State and maybe a couple of the stronger teams in the Big 12, but they keep games lower scoring, scrappy defensive. So give me that 7-10 area for WVU.
Love it. Now let's go to the Sun Belt, Marshall, Arkansas State. We'll start down there again.
Who's at home? Who's playing at home?
Arkansas State. This is at Arkansas State.
I don't know. That's going to be a tough one.
It is going to be
a little bit of a toss-up.
I'd lean Arkansas State because Marshall, of course, hasn't been the best road team.
They
play great
not.
at home.
That's kind of how I'm feeling.
I'm pretty skeptical.
I think the Red Wolves will get it done at home. They've kind of turned it around in the Sun Belt Conference. They're one of the better teams this year. Marshall is as well. So it should be a great matchup. I think it could be within 10 points. In that one, but I'm going to lean to Arkansas State, unfortunately, in that one. I would love to see the Thundering Herd pick up a big win, but just what I've seen against Texas State the other night, and they've played a lot of games with the snow and the winter storm having hit. They've played, early game against UL Monroe, then they had to play another early game over the weekend the next day, and then they travel, and then now they're traveling again. So 4 games in about a span of a week. Tired legs, I think. Arkansas State gets the job done at home.
Yeah, I hate to say it because I love the Herd. I still think they're a good basketball team, but I have to go with Arkansas State as well. It's just the way these two teams have been trending, that one being at Arkansas State, got to go with the Red Wolves there. All right, next one. In the MAC, Ohio and Buffalo.
Give me OU.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. I like that.
I was about to say, and
maybe a little bit of a hot take there, but
I
love that.
I don't even think it's a hot take. I think it's very possible that it could happen, but I'm also leaning to the other side. It's gonna go one of two ways. It's gonna go the way Thomas said, and OU's gonna pick up a nice road win, or it's gonna be ugly early and often, and that's kind of where I'm leaning. Going to Buffalo. much colder place than it is in Ohio. Someone that has lived in upstate New York at their point in their life for 4 years to about 2 hours from Buffalo, the snowiest city in America. I just think going up, traveling there, probably finding their way there through winter
especially
storm.
This time of year with what's going on.
Especially with what's going on in the world right now.
I think their arena will be pretty sleepy on Saturday.
That could be true too.
There's going to be no home environment. I think OU kind of feeds off of that.
Yeah, that's a good
big
shout
thing too. But I've seen this Buffalo team play a couple times this year. I've been trying to watch the MAC, the Sun Belt, some of these teams, so I get familiar with them. So knowing who your opponent is, and Buffalo's a strong team. I think that their offense is going to prevail. OU can score. Maybe it's going to be a track meet. Maybe I'm underestimating the Bobcats in this one, and I apologize, Bobby Nation, if I am shooting you guys down here. But I think Buffalo is going to roll in this one.
I will say, to Thomas's credit, the last time these two teams played, Ohio did win at home, 91-80.
Okay.
So they've got the matchup history there.
Yeah.
They haven't been playing as well. That was back when they were winning. I think they were on a 3 or 4 game win streak when they beat Buffalo in the MAC. But still, they beat them one time. I'm still going Buffalo for a lot of reasons you just said, Andrew. But probably going to be a very close game, and would not be shocked at all if Ohio wins that game.
Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if they do go in there and they pull off the upset. But I just think traveling on the road, college environments, Thomas might be right with all the weather we've had. He would know better than us as a meteorologist. It could be a sleepy day in Buffalo where they might not get many fans to come out, and it could be,
especially if it's what time is the tip off?
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's an early
2
2
yeah.
p.m. tip
that gives them a little more of a chance. But I was gonna
Yeah.
say that gives you a little more of a chance to wake up and get that hangover, going away as students. But it's going to be an interesting game, I think, for sure. I think it's a MACtion game at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, so I'll probably be locked into my couch watching it.
I love the MAC,
Yeah, me too. Whether it's football or basketball, the MAC.
I can't get enough.
No, one of my favorites. I've been watching Akron a lot this year, too, because they score a lot of points. They don't play a whole lot of defense.
Yeah.
And they have a couple guys that have played at bigger schools. Familiar name maybe for you guys. He played at Ohio State the last couple years. Evan Mahaffey. He played at Penn State too under Shrewsbury his first year before he went to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
I was gonna say bigger guy, grabs rebounds. Not known for his scoring, but he's interesting. He's fun to watch. And a couple other guys. Tavari Johnson is their point guard, and that kid can ball. I love watching him. So I've been trying to tune into as many of their games when I have some time just to watch a little more MACtion.
Absolutely, yeah. Love it. Looking forward to all those. We'll go real quick to Ohio State, Wisconsin. Start again with Thomas.
Give me OSU.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning that way too. Wisconsin's been a weird team this year, I think. They've been up and down. They
were preseason ranked, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be one of the better teams.
And they beat Michigan.
Yeah, they beat Michigan. They had that big win.
Right, they did.
And that kind of turned my perspective on them a little bit. That was a big win for them. But you can go back and look at earlier in the year, and Wisconsin kind of has some questionable losses. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a home game, but they were playing at the Fiserv Forum, which is where the Milwaukee Bucks play, and they played Villanova, and they got roped at home. I mean, they got absolutely smacked down by a Villanova team that I don't think is that good this year. So, the inconsistencies, but Ohio State has proven that they can play in the moment. Like you said, they didn't beat Michigan, Ohio State, but they went on the road. They ended up losing by 10. Yeah, they played
first
them tough.
30 minutes were a very good game.
First 30 minutes, and even still, they only lost by 10. They never really got more than 12. It just never got closer.
They just ran out of legs.
They kind of ran out of legs. The home crowd, the home team, the better team took over in that game. So
the team up north.
Yeah, that team up north. We won't say their name for any of you Ohio State Buckeye fans out there. Yeah, we'll censor it. We got to maybe get one of those built on there.
I think we do.
I think this is going to be probably the best game out of the 4 games that we're going to see this week. And I think it's going to be the most competitive and the closest game. I'm going to go with Thomas on this one. I'm going to give OSU the nod. I don't know how confident I feel in giving them the nod, but I'm going to give them the nod in this one.
Totally understand, and I hate to play devil's advocate here, but I'm glad you two went with OSU because I'm not going to. I'm going with Wisconsin. Wisconsin has won 6 out of their last 7, one of those being Michigan, being number 2 Michigan. They've been playing some good ball recently, some close wins, and like you said, they haven't looked as good as they should have. Talk about that Villanova game, but I will go with Wisconsin, but still, I think it'll be a great game. So very much looking forward to that one. All right, last thing before we close. For those of you who don't know, we got 3 ACC fans in the building. We've got Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and Duke. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. We've got a big matchup in the ACC coming up this weekend. It is Duke number 4 Duke versus Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech. Let's go predictions and thoughts on that game real quick. And we'll go ahead. Start with you.
This is a game Virginia Tech doesn't have to win, but if we do win, it stamps our seal in March.
Okay.
That being said, give me Duke by 20.
And here's the thing for the Mid-Ohio Valley. You all need to know, Thomas, super pessimistic about his own team and what they're going to do. Yeah, he's not super positive about Virginia Tech, and he's been, kind of doom and gloom recently because they had lost 3 games in a row on buzzer beaters.
3 games, and every single time we're up by 10 to 20 points with 2 minutes left.
And then they end up choking. So now they're sitting at, 4-3 in conference? They truly
5-4 now.
Yeah, 5-4. They're sitting at 5-4 in the ACC, but truly Virginia Tech could be like 8-1. They lost on a half-court shot to SMU.
Boopie Miller.
Yeah, Boopie Miller from half court when they were up 5 with 5 seconds left.
Because we can't hit a free throw in
any
game.
They started missing free throws. So, but a home game, Hokie Nation is going to be alive. And
come on, we'll be getting hopefully our starting small forward back, Tyler Johnson.
Yeah,
he's the glue guy. He gets 10 rebounds a game. He doesn't shoot that much. I think he averages around 10 points. Gives the double basically each game. So he's been out since the Elon game when we scrapped by in overtime against the Phoenix, 82-81. But
he had to tell us the score because he has to remind you that it is Elon, the Phoenix,
Fighting Phoenix,
a small mid-major.
Yeah, out of the CAA, this season has just been so weird for us. We played 4 overtime games before 2026. We're 4-0 in overtime, but ever since that UVA game, that 4th overtime win, season has just kind of turned on its heel. We can't win any close games now. We just finally started. We finally beat Georgia Tech up by 15, 2 minutes left. Luckily, we won by 6. Beat Cal by 3 at home. So we're good. I don't know if I'd say we're middle of the ACC. I'd give ourselves in that 6 to 8 range.
You guys are more in the upper echelon, I'd say, at this
range.
rate. Yeah, you guys are in the 6 to 8 range. But
well, the problem is that the ACC has so much depth now.
Yeah.
That even though
it's like football.
So
a lot of teams, and the ACC definitely is a stronger conference this year. They were kind of a conference that has been overlooked, and people have been questioning if they should even be considered a power conference anymore. People are saying, "Oh, let's conference realign and dissolve the ACC and only have the Big 12." Big 10 and the SEC, but the ACC is showing that basketball is back, I think, this year, and I think Virginia Tech has been a quality team in the ACC this year.
Much better than last year's 13-19, losing to St. Joe's. We lost to Jacksonville last year at home, too. I sat through that whole game. Right. Worst game I've ever been to.
But you know what? You guys attacked the transfer portal, and you guys added a lot of good players, and you brought back a few key
We got Amani Hansberry from WVU.
Amani Hansberry
Paulo Chester Frazier.
Leading the Hokies in points is WVU transfer Amani Hansberry, looking like a first-team All-ACC performer,
and
14-8.
And he's found a new home, and then they've got, Virginia Tech's got their version of the Greek Freak, how the Milwaukee Bucks have.
I don't know about that anymore. Popped off at the start of the year, and ever since he's I believe he's 5 for 30 from 3 this past month.
But I can't remember his name. Julian Hammond, I believe is his name, correct?
Ben Hammond.
Ben Hammond, sorry.
Ben Hammond.
5'11" freak.
Yeah, no, he's been awesome. Our schools just went at it about a week ago or so, and
great game. That was fun to watch.
It was a great game. They almost did what they normally do, the Hokies. And
I texted you, it's happening again.
Yeah,
we were up by 10.
Thomas usually sends me a picture of his heart rate on his Apple Watch to let me know. That's how I know that he's watching a Virginia Tech game, because typically it is close and he is sweating and nervous while he is at home.
Yeah.
And I'm usually still here getting prepared for the 10 o'clock news. But I'm going to go with the upset here. I think that the Hokies are going to do it. I don't know if this is an early game in the day or a night game. It's at noon. And that makes me love it
on
even
ESPN.
more. You talk about sleepy arenas. It'll not be sleepy
with the snow
in Blacksburg, Virginia.
Snow falling in Blacksburg, yep.
It is going to be a bad day to be a Duke Blue Devil.
Wow.
Whether it's a fan, whether it is a basketball player, I will take my stand right here. I'll stake my claim. The Virginia Tech Hokies are going to pull off an upset. Duke will lose their first game in the ACC this year, and Virginia Tech will have a number next to their name on Monday next week.
I hope that is true, but I highly suspect
I just went on a passionate rant.
I did not see that coming.
When they lose by 20, I expect you to leave a nice $2 bill on my desk and make me feel better about my sadness.
I will buy you a dinner.
Thank you.
That's wild. I didn't see that one coming.
I didn't either until we started talking more about it.
Yeah, well, I am biased, but I'm going to go with Duke. I will say, though, to Andrew's credit, Duke historically, I don't know what the numbers are, but I've watched Duke obviously all my life. They don't play well in the Coliseum.
I've seen a win.
They've been upset a
Duke
lot.
there,
Yeah,
2023.
It feels like it's always close in the Coliseum. You guys always give us a hard time, and you guys have pulled off, like you said, some big upsets. So,
do they play Enter Sandman at the Coliseum too?
They play Enter Sandman for every sport.
Yeah, Duke's in trouble.
We might be in trouble, boys.
Duke's in trouble for a noon game on Saturday when Enter Sandman hits. That place is going to explode.
Man. Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. We'll see.
It's going to be a good one.
Starting to get nervous about that. Wasn't nervous coming into today. Now I'm nervous. So we'll see how that goes. But all right, that's going to do it for us here for WTAP Sports Frenzy. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.